All right, welcome to episode 2 of the Rising Tides podcast. I'm Sean McGrath, CEO of Ace Power and its subsidiary Ace Fiber. And I'd like to introduce the newest member of our team, Ben Tucker, our Director of Marketing, Communications, and Member Services. And Ben, you've been with us a couple of weeks now, kind of getting your feet under you, and how have the first 2 weeks been?
The first 2 weeks have been a blast, Sean. I appreciate you guys being so welcoming and just extremely excited to be here and be a part of the Ace legacy and play a small role in that moving forward.
Well, as Ben well knows, part of the deal in coming to Ace was he gets to be the newest member of the podcast team and moderator, host, if you will. Ben's very plugged into the community, always has been. And in fact, I joke with you all the time, Ben, that you've been here. I've been here 30 years, and you've been here what? 10 maybe?
About 10, yeah.
And 200 times more people than I do. Just a very plugged in member of the community, and we're glad to have you here.
Oh, I appreciate it. That's too kind of a welcome, Sean, for sure. But like I said, I'm just glad to work alongside Sean and the team, and really excited about the things you guys have, things we all have going on now as a company. So excited to be a part of that. So. Yeah, as Sean mentioned, he's kind of handing the baton as far as the MC role goes to me moving forward for these podcasts, and hope to continue to share meaningful updates and important communications with all you guys, our viewers and our members. And a part of that's going to be continuous ACE updates that we consider important for you guys. So Sean, let's just jump right into my experience with the Lighthouse is just witnessing and seeing firsthand how many lives it has impacted and continues to impact here in our region. And so without further ado, we'll introduce you to our special guest. We have the Executive Director, Gary Cadmus here from the Lighthouse Foundation, and Vince Overholt, who's the Director of the Lighthouse Classic. And we're going to be talking about both of these organizations today and the tournament as well. And just excited to introduce these guys to you. So Gary, just want to start with you and kind of talk through, some of our viewers may have knowledge of the foundation, and I'm sure a lot of them do because, like I said, I think it's something that has been ingrained in the community for so long. Just talk about yourself for a second and the background, your background, and really how the Lighthouse came to fruition.
In 1995, a group of men, Joe Van, Hoot Wilder, and some of the other guys were looking around, and children were school-aged, and they were really concerned about their community. And so they began to get together, and through a Bible study, that branched out to a lot of men getting together on Friday morning, really before 1995, praying together. And during that time, they wanted to make an impact in their community, not put a Band-Aid on the situation, but they looked around and they saw a lot of social problems that they felt like the Lord could really make a difference in. And they came to me back probably in 1993 and wanted me to be a part of it. And I just looked at it as another meeting, another committee I didn't need to be a part of. But they stayed on me. And finally I came and I saw a group of men, white men, black men, rich men, poor men, that were meeting together, praying and saying, hey, we can make a difference in this community. And I became a part of that. And in May of 1995, the first couple of years, they refused to do anything but pray and get to know each other. And so in May of 95, they asked me, they said, let's start something special. And we incorporated the Lighthouse Foundation of Corinth. And the very first thing we did was we took 114 kids fishing. Kids that had never been. 69 had caught fish for the first time. 14 got saved on that lake levee. And we were so excited about what had happened. And so a holistic ministry in Corinth, Mississippi, where we wasn't going out there and just preaching and saying words. We were going out there and trying to show the love of Christ to the people of our community that were hurting and maybe just didn't have the same opportunities that we did. And so that began in 1995 with a vision that we could make a difference in our community. First couple of years, I'm not sure we saw a whole lot of progress, but today it's unbelievable what the Lord has done in our community through a lot of people caring and people investing in us and believing in that vision. And so we're so excited to be a part of this community and just seeing the Lord move in a powerful way. So.
Well, two points there too. One, I'm glad they pressed you and got you involved there, because I know you said, you've been a key difference maker in this project, and it couldn't have been where it is without you and so many other good people that have taken part in that. And two, it's just, I think your point of, you guys just don't talk to people, you talk with people and live amongst people and, serve amongst each other. So I think that's been very important. And obviously, one of the reasons, obviously, we want to have you guys on here, so talk about some of the projects you guys work on. I know you talked about the initial fishing trip out of the gate there, but day to day, what does that look like now?
Yeah,
Foundation.
Holistic ministry is meeting people where they're at and what they need. I mean, if a kid needs a doctor, we find them a doctor. We have doctors that do that. If they need a dentist, we've got people that work with us, dentists that work with us. And so we do after-school tutoring. We do summer camps, Kids Across America. We take 100 kids from this community and take them to Branson, Missouri, where it's a sports camp, Christ-centered sports camp. And it is just an unbelievable event that happens. But not only that, we have youth leadership programs in the schools. We serve a lot as an intervention with the younger kids in the school, the at-risk kids that struggle sometimes, that need some accountability. We have all kinds of different programs, from the toy store that'll be coming up. That's nearly 2,000 kids, 1,500 to 2,000 kids that will get Christmas this year because our community cares. And so all these things go on, and our week is not always a very set, because sometimes you've got to meet needs where they're at. And so any holistic ministry, that is what we're concerned about doing, is meeting people where they're at and doing those things. And so, and now, in the last couple of months, we've begun a new project, and we're excited about that too. So.
Yeah, well, hey, that's a great segue, because that was one of the key things I wanted us to talk about too, was what that project is, what it looks like, kind of what that time frame looks like, and what it's going to mean to you guys at the foundation. So,
okay, sure. The Jovan Purpose Center is going to open, probably wide open, the first of the year. Our building is being completed now, and with the tournament coming up that Nance is going to tell us all about, and I'm so proud of that. And the toy store, all our new, the new passion behind this new ministry will really kick off in January. We're beginning it already. We hired a director of that, Israel Williams, and she's just a powerful young lady that's going to carry our vision in a different direction. And so we're excited about that opening and really being used in an awesome way in January. But where this is a little different from what we've done. I played basketball at Mississippi State, not Alabama.
Dell State.
And so I always had a passion for the sports side of things. And so we do a lot of sports. We do basketball skill work on Saturday morning, where we've been doing that for 25 years. Where kids come in, if they just want to learn how to play the game, we do that. And so we've always been that holistic ministry, trying to meet these kids, trying to show them the love of Christ. And we've done that fairly well, I think. The Lord's been very gracious to us, taking our faults and still doing what he's done. But so many times after they get to that 11th, 12th grade year of school, go to college, we kind of lose connection with our kids. The kids that may not have the same support structure that I had growing up. And so we've been frustrated quite a bit when we see a lot of our young adults from our community really falter. And we want to see them succeed. And so the Purpose Center is there with the vision that we can show them their purpose, their Christ-centered purpose. That, I say this all the time. I wake up in the morning and I speed to work because I'm where I'm supposed to be. I'm excited to be where I'm at. But most people I know wake up and they have to make themselves go to their job because they need to be a responsible father or a mother. They need to take care of their lives. But I want these kids to grow up speeding to work. I want them to know where they belong. And so we're excited to have the Purpose Center and Israel Williams there to help them in that journey to that place that they belong. And so many times with our kids, they go to fill out the FAFSA for junior college or college, and they hit one obstacle and they quit. They stop because they have nobody there to say, keep going. So many times there's a kid that wants to learn how to be an electrician, but he doesn't know where to go, and he's heard of a program in Memphis, but that's an hour and 30 minutes away, and he stops and he settles for something here. We're going to be there to help them find that place that they belong. And we're going to be there, and we're going to give them accountability and love, and also just equip them to get there. And so we're excited about that. And in January, we're looking forward to just a wonderful, wonderful new addition to our ministry. So,
yeah, well, it's certainly exciting news and life-changing news, that's going to continue to happen at the foundation there. You mentioned Israel in her new role. Talk a little bit about the staff and kind of the great team you have there, because I know it takes a village to make it all happen. So talk absolutely a little bit about the staff.
Okay, at the Lighthouse Foundation, we have myself, and we have Lene Williams, who is our women's director. We have Israel, who's going to be the director of the Purpose Center. Also, we have our secretary, my beautiful wife, that keeps us all straight. And then our accountant is Leslie Fisher, and she does a wonderful job on the financial side and making sure that we're run very efficiently as a nonprofit organization. So,
good. Yeah, and we've all been very fortunate and blessed to meet and work with all those guys firsthand. So we can definitely vouch for the goodness in all of them, really. So tell me about you talked about all these projects that are undergoing and stuff, and keeping this thing going. So what kind of funds and donations and stuff are typically required for that? How do you guys typically operate in that?
When we began here, my accountant asked me if we took a vow of poverty to go into this. That's not the way it is today. And the reason why we went forth and we shared our vision, not with just a couple of people, but with our community. And so the community churches, individuals, a lot of people might think we're funded by grants, and sometimes we are. I mean, some of our funding comes that way, but most of it is through the churches and through individuals in our community that care. And we're excited about sharing that vision. But one of the early things that we struggled with was, sure, people wanted to send kids to camp. That's a feel-good thing. And sure, we could raise money for the toy store. And we need that, and we can't do it without people giving. But the general funds, nobody wants to pay for the lights. Nobody wants to pay for my salary, okay? Nobody wants to do that. Or I don't want to say nobody, but it's not a feel-good giving at that point. And so for years, we struggled getting to December. October, November, we could get to, and then we had to just really squeeze the turnip to get through. And so we tried the thrift store. And a great ministry, but it really didn't provide too much for that. It was a break-even type thing typically. And then having the basketball background, and me and Vince on the AAU circuit, we had a very effective and we like to think a very entertaining national team that ran out of the Lighthouse for years. And so we made a lot of connections in the basketball field. And so we came up with the idea of a tournament. And through that tournament, it helps fund the general funding. And so that was the need. I don't want to get off into Vince's territory there, but that was the reason why we desperately needed that. And today, yes, all nonprofits, we need more to do more. I mean, that's Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's just the key. But today we're not as stretched as we were, and I'm so thankful that the Lord sent Vince over around when He did. So, and Mary, he's got a better. Yeah, we know he does have a better hair.
Right. We do. Well, before we jump into the classes specifically there too, I think I just really want to pinpoint on. It talks to me about kind of the number of lives. It just rough estimate. Over the years, Foundation impacted and continues to impact.
Okay.
Now. Like just that's the purpose.
Right.
So
Right. There are hundreds of kids in every community, and white kids, black kids, and everything in between that doesn't have the structured family around them to provide for them in an adequate way. A lot of my single moms are working 3 jobs. 3 jobs. And those kids are just trying to make it, and they're trying to make it the best way they can. And their moms are doing all they can to make it work. And they need help. And that's what the Lighthouse is there for, is to provide structure for those kids. And so through the after-school tutoring, through the basketballs and the athletic programs that we do, through being in the schools, being plugged in, from intercession programs to just being there for them in their junior high games and such, we're there giving accountability and love to these kids that need that. And so in the course of a year, you're taking 100 to camp. You're providing 1,500 to 2,000 kids at Toy Store. And then that's not even including the day by day and week by week number that we have. I mean, we had 20 in basketball Saturday. That were there just wanting to learn more. And that's a program you don't even count in our flyers or even promote, really. But the kids are there. This afternoon, they'll be at the ministry, there'll be 50 to 75 kids there. So the numbers, if you wanted to count, we carried 22 to 2,500 kids to camp since we started.
Wow.
And so it's wild when you really get to looking at it, the number of kids that come through the Lighthouse.
Yeah. And like I said, grow up in Boonville, but long time resident of Corinth now, it's we see it from a distance and able to take part. And you guys at the core are what keeps driving this thing and just seeing hundreds of more lives impacted every year. So, so before we jump into the Classic I definitely want to see Vance dunk a basketball in this episode if we can do that. It's something. Yeah. He's ready to give it. That was me. I think my first getting to know the Foundation and the Classic, growing up 20 plus miles down the road here, it was a big part of my life. We came and would catch basketball games and, got exposed to the Lighthouse Foundation and kind of learned you guys' story. And, but I'm interested to know, like Sean, so what about, what were your first impressions when you heard about Foundation and Classic and kind of what it meant to the community here?
I tried to think. I don't even know when the Classic started. It's been going so long that, and I've got such good memories about going nearly every year and all the great players that have played there. Those are the memories I have. Probably the coolest memory, and I showed you guys a picture a little while ago, is when my son was probably 5th or 6th grade, maybe 5th grade, I guess. And we just watched a great game. I can't remember who it was that was playing, and we had to go to a family dinner. So we're leaving the gym. And we're walking, into the parking lot, and I look to my left. I go, "There's Coach Calipari," and he heard me, and he stopped and he said, "Hey guys, you guys want a picture?" Absolutely. And it was, I think Tony Barbie was driving them that night. So Tony Barbie used to be the coach at Auburn, and I recognize him as well. And he says, "Here, hand me your phone." So Tony Barbie took a picture with my phone of us and Coach Cal. So that was just a great memory I've got of the Classic, and he's just one of the many big-time coaches that go there to watch all these great players. And I'm in awe of what you guys do. And Gary, you were talking, and I just think, you talk about impacting kids, and my wife's an educator. Both my in-laws were educators in the county and city school districts, respectively. And I'm just in awe of how many kids you affect and mentor on a day-to-day basis. I've raised one kid through the school district, got another junior right now. I know how rigorous that academic requirements are at Corinth. And I can't imagine, you got a single mother that's working 3 jobs. What do the kids do? Who's mentoring them at home and giving them that, the help that they need and try to get through high school?
It's thank God for the Boys and Girls Club. I thank God for the Lighthouse Foundation. I thank God for people that care, that are filling in the gaps there. And so, but it wouldn't get done. What would happen to me if I didn't have anybody, any supervision in my life? What would have happened to me? And so I look at that all the time, and it drives me to the next kid. And there's some wonderful young men out there and young ladies that just need a little support.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm going to add, back to your question, it's hard telling how many people have really, truly been eternally impacted through the Lighthouse Foundation. And, you take things for granted, but 20 kids coming to the Lighthouse on a Saturday morning, we start and end with prayer. That may be the only time they're exposed to prayer for the entire week. We don't know. So, it's such a tough question to answer, but we know that there's so many examples of people that's come through the Lighthouse that are highly successful, centerpiece of their communities, and they would not be there, we know, had it not been for that support that Gary's been talking about. So, yeah, it's great to be associated with something that powerful and Lord driven.
Yeah, absolutely. And based on you guys, what we all know about the foundation and, again, the lives that are continuing to be impacted by it is there is no value that's great enough to place on the work that you guys continue to do and the lives that are impacted. Because like I said, we see people every day who've had some form of connection or benefited from the support of the Lighthouse. And like you said, have families of their own now and so it's truly the next generation that is impacted as well. So let's shift gears a little bit. Talk me through like how you guys got connected on the basketball front. I know you mentioned AAU, kind of the traveling team there and stuff, but how did the Classic come to fruition and what were you guys' roles in that?
Well, Gary and I, we spent a lot of time on the road together. And when you're going from Friday afternoon till sometimes Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, you got a lot of downtime to talk. And we were at an event. This was probably back in 2012, and we were talking about, just feeling bad having to send letters out in November and December when people are trying to secure their funds for their family's Christmas and Thanksgiving. And here we are sending letters out saying, we need your help. We need your dollars because we're struggling as a nonprofit organization. There's got to be a different way, a better way. And we started batting things around and we said, hey, let's do a basketball event. And so from literally going down the road on a bus, on a Lighthouse bus, that's where it started. And our first event was November of 2013. And we had a choice to make. And that choice was, do we take the easy road and start very, very small and try to work our way up? Or do we just jump into the deep end and try to go big to start with? And I think the first year was very overwhelming because we chose the latter. And we didn't just want high-level talent, good teams, but we wanted every aspect of it to just be perfect because we wanted people to say, I want more, I want to come back. Are you doing it next year? So, we had... Back in the day, we had halftime entertainment for every single game. No one had that at the time. We had concessions it was over the top. Our hospitality was over the top, and at the end of those 2 days, we had a lot of people that were absolutely spent, and we've just morphed from that and tried to check and adjust after each event to understand what went really well, what do we want to keep, what do we not want to do again, and how can we make it better? And that's what we've done for the last 11 years. This is our 10th event. We missed, unfortunately, the COVID year, but it's every year is added and built to where we are this year.
Yeah. Well, I know that just based on Sean talking about the Coach Cal, that interaction, and that just speaks to what it's grown into as well. And because the caliber of coaches and players, and we'll let you talk about that specifically in the second advance, but just I remember a decade ago, my dad and I, this is a destination place to come for basketball. When we loaded up, drove to Corinth, and we're here for some of the very, very first tournaments. And so talk about kind of and any of you three too. Talk about the teams that typically come here, how you land those caliber teams. I know we really want to encourage a lot of our regional local teams to participate, and but also how do you go about getting those national teams to take part?
It's really, with the internet and the information that we have at our disposal today, there's about 100 different ranking services out there. We really target the teams that have a nationally ranked player. That's really what we target, or at least a player or players that are going to be playing major college basketball. And so we start really trying to build relationships at a very, very early time. So we've already got for 2024's Lighthouse Classic, it's probably 60% full already. And I've already got signed contracts for next year's event. You've really got to start early because people are aggressive. Events are aggressive, and they try to lock people up. We've been very fortunate. The first year, we didn't know what we had. The first year, we had Devin Booker here, who is he's arguably, by everyone's ranking, a top 10 player in the NBA. He was here that year, played 2 games, one against Corinth. Incidentally, he took home 2 losses, but nevertheless, he was extremely good. Corinth had to be one of those losses. We also had Chris Chiozza here that year with White Station. He went on to play in the NBA. Since then, we've had 21 players that's played in Corinth play in the NBA. And something that we're proud of. It says that we're getting the right people here, and people love to see that person that's just a little different.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so talk a little bit about, elaborate a little bit more on that too. So you and Gary, spent a lot of time in the car, a lot of coaching time, AAU basketball. How do you develop a network to be able to make those phone calls and to make those introductions? I know the tournament's growing to what it is now. Those early days, though, you really relied on you guys' relationship. So talk a little bit about that.
There was a lot of that. Kermit Davis, who was coach at Ole Miss, he and Gary were really tight, and he helped us early on. And we had some JUCO coaches that put us on some people. Gary also knew a guy in Louisiana that put us on the team in Louisiana. And then we just started, I'll be honest with you, probably in today's world, I get most of my contacts through Twitter, literally. And usually I can reach out through Twitter, and a coach or an organization is going to respond. But, the fallback is to call the high school and say, hey, I need to speak to Coach Ware. And they're like, okay. And usually I'll have to leave a message, and I rely on him to call back. And but that's, I'm going to say, of all the teams that's been here, probably over half have been cold calls. Just in the early days, when we were on the AAU trails, our guys, which our last team that we had, actually the one that graduated with 18, all those guys played Division I basketball, every one of them. Wow, okay. And so we had like 13 of those guys that had been a part of us that played Division I basketball. It was an amazing group of guys. Robert Woodard went on to play in the NBA off that team too, but we knew a lot of great players because of the teams we played. And so in the early days, we got to know the players and sometimes some of their coaches, Louisiana connection especially at that time, that really benefited a lot. But in the last 7 or 8 years, it's been exactly what Vince has said. I mean, he's best friends with half the people in the United States. if they're involved with coaching, and he can call them one time and he can be their best friends.
Yeah.
And he is their best students.
Well, that's a testament to you guys both. That just shows the not only the Lighthouse Foundation we talked about a second ago, the hard work that goes into that, but the Classic too. There's no doubt the success. You guys are key factors in that success. So,
But there's another element too, and we would not be having the event, period, if it were not for folks like Ace Fiber, absolutely, Chick-fil-A. Our sponsors, they really enable all of this to happen, and it is where it all starts. And without our just incredible sponsors, they break it out. We're sitting here talking about something else today. We're not talking about the Lighthouse Classic.
That's right. Well, it's an easy decision to make when you've got such a good program that it benefits.
That's right. Thank you.
A lot of emphasis gets put on some of the prep schools that come in. I know you got the Prep School Challenge, right?
Yep.
The 4 prep schools. But you guys have mentioned some big names: Booker, Woodard, James Wiseman was one of my memories.
Oh yeah.
But none of those are prep schools. They're all public schools. So you're getting a lot of public school talent as well. Not just the prep schools, right?
We are. The thing that you see with the prep schools, and this is where they're a little different than the public schools, almost on every team, all 5 starters are all going to be Division I basketball players, every one of them. So it's almost like watching a college game at a high school level is what you're watching. It's pretty phenomenal. If you put a prep school up against a public school, it would be bad. I mean, they're just that much better. But with the public schools, we do target the ones that have the elite players. So it took a long time to get James Wiseman here, I promise you. We followed him from Innsworth all the way to Memphis East, and finally landed him through a really good relationship that we still have. But I would say of the players that's now playing professional ball, probably over half of them came through public school, not prep schools.
I just remember Wiseman jumping over the kid and
on the baseline.
Sure did. It was awesome. That's a great memory for me.
Sure did. And this year is no different. We've got some really talented players on public high school teams. Some in state, some out of state. Don't know how many pros we've got. Probably the one that's going to be most likely to be pro is coming from Germantown, Mississippi. And no one has ever associated Germantown, Mississippi and basketball together until now. And he's a sophomore, 6'11". His name's Sam Funches. And he is he's good. He's been recruited by literally everybody in the nation. Yeah. And there's, believe it or not, there are plenty of 6'11s out there. Mm-hmm. But there's not a lot of 6'11s that's skilled and athletic. And he checks both of those boxes. Right. And so he can run the floor, he can shoot it, and he's only going to get better because he's a young sophomore as well. He's not just a sophomore.
That's great.
So we're talking about the prep, and y'all made note of the prep versus public kind of, athletes and kind of experience and stuff there. But how do you go about planning those matchups and stuff for this tournament? I know some of our viewers know how the tournament layout it functions, but how do you guys sit down on the drawing board and figure that out? The goal of every single game is that it comes down to the last possession, and the team that's played best wins. That's what our desire is. No one likes to go into a gym and see a 30-point route. It's just not fun unless the team that's routing is dunking every other thing, or bombing threes every other shot. It's really not fun, and it's not good for the teams. We want this to be good for everyone, the fan, the coach, the players, everyone. So we really try to match up teams, and it's difficult because you never know who's going to show. Sometimes the last couple of years we've had sickness that played a part of some of the games. So I know fans sitting in the stands were going, what were they thinking? This is horrible. But what they didn't know is half the team was home and 4 of the starters were homesick and couldn't travel. Right. So sometimes you hit it, sometimes you don't. With the preps, we're really looking at, to be honest, I'm looking at who I believe would make a great championship game. And I'm just
putting them opposite of each other and pairing them up. And, and ideally we've got 4 equal teams, so it really doesn't matter who plays who. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of how it's done. But there's quite a bit of time that goes into it as far as who plays who, intriguing matchups. Sometimes, this year we've got Germantown playing Bartlett. Bartlett's got a kid that's committed to Abilene Christian, really, really good guard, high-profile big guy going at it. So we try to look for those compelling storylines or matchups.
Yeah, that's a perfect segue too. So talk to me about some. I know each tournament brings new teams, new players. Kudos to you guys again for doing all that. Talk to me about some of the exciting matchups or key players that some of our viewers, people attending, can look forward to.
Well, we've got to start with Moravian Prep,
right?
And Moravian Prep won the Lighthouse Challenge last year. Last year they were extremely talented. They rewrote the majority. I was looking at it last night. As a matter of fact, team records. They rewrote a record book. They were bombing threes and they were hitting them. They hit 20 threes in one game.
Wow.
And they scored 110 points in one game. So it's they're back.
They're from where?
They're from Hudson, North Carolina.
Okay.
Which is outside of Charlotte. But this year they'll bring the most dynamic player in our event. It's the coach's son. He's a junior. His name is Eli Ellis, and he is an internet sensation. Yeah. If you've never
heard of him,
if you've not heard of Eli Ellis, go out there and look. Facebook will have it. The internet will have it. But he's unbelievable. He's got unlimited range. He's a 6'6" guard. Unlimited range. He can bomb from deep, or he'll drive inside. He is fearless. He talks smack. He is a player that everyone loves to see. And this summer at his AAU events that they played in, it was standing room only for every single one.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to see him. By the way, it's not just high. He's been recruited by Kentucky, by all the players. He's a top 75 player.
And the Carolina guy is supposed to go to. He's supposed to be a Tar Heel or a Blue Devil, right?
South Carolina. We know that coaching staff, and they're on him. He's their number one priority, and they are pushing really hard. I'm sure they're funneling that NIL money his way already. But he's phenomenal. And the thing that I love about Eli is he's a humble kid.
Mature
On the court, it's like a screen comes down and he's a different guy when it's off. Whenever he's off the court, that screen comes up and he will sign autographs and take pictures and yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. He's a great kid. Just an example of that. He came with the team last year, didn't play, and he was signing autographs the whole time. He didn't even play.
Wow.
And so after one of the games, he came over and gave me $40 and he said, I want this to go to the Lighthouse.
Wow.
So, yeah, he's a headliner, and that team will be as well. I mentioned Sam Funches and Christian Austin. They're really, really good. But really, these prep schools, we've got one coming from Seattle, Washington, and they have a kid that is also a sophomore, 6'5" guard. He's a top 40 player, really, really skilled, really good. There's a lot of those type of players.
Yeah. Again, I can't say enough. I know Sean over here, we're big fans, obviously, because one of the first things I think, what do you like? Hey, Ben, here's your new office. It was like, we're supporting the Lighthouse Classic this year, and we're going to be pretty ingrained with that tournament and stuff. And of course, excitement you can see on my face is really fan spurs, and big attendees over the years and stuff too. But again, that's just kudos to you guys for that groundwork and stuff. I want to put you guys on the spot for a second. So I know over a decade now, this tournament, right? So a lot of good memories. You mentioned James Weissman on the dunk. Favorite memory from the tournament, just from a game standpoint, player standpoint. I know you probably have so many it's hard to recall, but
I got one.
All right, well, you start us off then. You start us off.
I'm 58 years old, and I've been watching her playing basketball since I was old enough to walk. the best, most entertaining game I've ever seen in my life, and it's not even close, was Chalmette from New Orleans or Chalmette, Louisiana versus Forest Hill out of Jackson, Mississippi. Ladarius Marshall played for Forest Hill, and Mitchell Robinson, who's now he's been playing for the New York Knicks for years. He was playing for Chalmette. That game was off the charts. Mitchell Robinson had 10 dunks in that game. Ladarius had 8. There were crazy threes, crazy shots. It was close the whole way. The gym was into it. And we had to repair a rim in that game because Ladarius broke the bolt off the rim.
Right.
It was unbelievable. And when that game was over, it was like, we might as well go home. It was an early afternoon.
Basically, guys would be like, well,
Those were some of the best games here. Yeah, so
And when that game was over, it's like, I know we got 4 more games, but we might as well leave now because nothing will top that. It was amazing.
wow. I recall that game. I do. So, what about you, Garrett?
You know, it's hard for me. That was got to be one of the top ones. But there's 3 individual performances that just really got me. Tyler Harris, I remember that game when he just unbelievable. But also Malik Newman put on the show.
I remember that. Yeah.
And it was just unbelievable. And then we cannot forget about that dunk when James Wiseman dunked over somebody comes unbelievable. And so those 3 things really stick out at me, and it's hard for me, but that game was the most entertaining game that Vince. Tyler Harris hit a half-court shot. I sent it to overtime. Right. One of the games. We had Mountain Brook played Bearden back in 2016, I think. We didn't realize this at the time, but Bearden ended up winning the 3A, which at the time was the largest class in Tennessee. They ended up winning Tennessee State Championship. They had 3 guys that played major college basketball off that team. Mountain Brook beat them by 2 at the end, and Bearden had a player that didn't play that game. Mountain Brook on that team now has 2 guys playing in the NBA. Trenton Wofford and Colby Jones. Yeah. You know, and here we are watching that game. We thought Trenton might be in the NBA, but Colby was a sophomore. We didn't really know. But, you know, I go back and look at the records. Colby's tied for the highest 3-point shooting percentage in the Lighthouse. You know, it's like, okay, now it sort of makes sense. Yeah. So there's just, you know, you never know what you're going to get, and that's the fun part of it.
So you're saying the Lighthouse Classic is the litmus test for talent. NBA talent, future NBA talent.
I think for this region, it most certainly is. We've seen tournaments come and go. The Penny Hardaway Hoop Fest, and then the National Hoop Fest in Memphis. It flared up and it was really hot, and now it's gone. Mm-hmm. I would say for Tennessee, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, I feel confident. The Sugar Bowl Classic, maybe in New Orleans, would compete with us, but I believe we're probably the biggest and maybe the best in that South region. There's big ones in Atlanta. There's big ones in Missouri, Kentucky, Texas that are bigger than us and probably better than us as well. But for our region, I think it's up there.
Well, I think this one is unique in a special way because of the 2 loves and 2 passions that's combined, you know, and I think the community and the region know that. I think, like you said, a testament to the player that donated the money himself. Right. I think people come from miles away quickly learn that too. You know, it's a love of basketball, but also a love of community and the Lighthouse Foundation. That this one has a pretty cemented foundation to stand on.
It's cool that you say that because one of our prep schools dropped out a couple of months ago. Put Vince in a bad spot, and he was losing lots of sleep over it because the level of our prep school is so high. We can't just add anyone. And the one that we got, Vince could go into it, really he was sold because of who the Lighthouse was. Go ahead and need to talk about that.
Yeah, I was talking, it was a cold call to a team in Houston, Texas, and they're
they're I would say still a startup organization. This is their second full year, and he's like, tell me about your event. And I told him about the event. I said, but this is why we're doing it. And as soon as I started that, he's like, so, and I'm like, say what? And he goes, we're coming. And I said, okay. And he said, I don't need to hear anything else. He said, my dad's a preacher, and I was born and raised in the church. I'm a Christian guy. And man, the passion with Christ and kids and basketball, we would love to come. And from that point forward, he's been 100% on board. And so
That speaks volumes.
that's pretty cool. It is pretty cool.
But you touched on them too, and Sean. So you and I we obviously have different perspective than these two guys do, because they've been ingrained in it. But how would you describe the like the Wiseman dunk? How's the atmosphere in that gym? Like when
It was crazy because it was Memphis East, right? So yeah, it was and Penny was recruiting Wiseman, so it seemed like he had, I don't know, a couple thousand from Memphis coming to that game to watch him. I don't even recall who they played. Oh yeah, it was. And they have the guard that's at Ole Miss now, right?
Well, he's at Jackson State.
Yeah,
Deshaun Ruffin.
Yeah.
right.
So it was the two of those guys. Yeah, and again, it was a shooting guard versus a big guy.
That's right.
But it was a pretty ruckus crowd. He was a good.
That's how I remember it too.
It's an awesome environment.
You're not going to beat the atmosphere, the climate, the basketball for this, because I just remember, like I said, a decade ago, sitting there, I've taken my young son there now as well, and we get there, we grab our popcorn early because we know we're going to be using it, and watching some good basketball. But talking about the crowd, like what does the crowd typically look like for the tournament?
If we were in mid-January versus the end of November, it would be packed the whole day, both days. But we're not. At the end of November, we never know what we're going to get. If it's a 70-degree sunny day outside, the crowds are going to be light until it gets dark, and then it starts filling up. On Saturdays, we have to compete against college football because that's the rivalry weekend. This year, don't think we'll have to worry a lot about that because Mississippi State and Ole Miss playing on Thursday, and Auburn's not very good. So Alabama should steamroll that game. So there's not a lot of hype on that day this year. So you never know. But typically our crowds are very solid. This year is going to be a little bit different. We partnered with a group called the Grind Session, and they have a similar mission as we do. That's why we work really well together. And they brought their own broadcasting company called Tanager Sports. This year, the Grind Session is covering an event in Florida. They're not going to be in Corinth, so we're not going to televise. We're not going to broadcast any games. So if you want to see the game this year, you got to come to the gym. I'm hoping that adds to our attendance. And I will say this too, from an attendance standpoint, yes, we want people to pay at the gate because that's how we're funding the Lighthouse.
Right.
But it goes a lot further than that. I mean, we've got teams that are coming in from out of region, and we want the atmosphere and the environment to be a great one. No one wants to come and play to where you're hearing echoes of a ball dribbling in an empty gym. I mean, they just don't want that. It's not exciting. It's not good. So we want a packed gym for all of our games, and because from an atmosphere standpoint, Corinth's gym it's an older style gym versus the newer ones that's being built. It's very noisy whenever people are into it, and it's packed, and it's a great environment. And we've had coaches that have been standing outside the locker rooms beside the stands at a conclusion of a game prior to theirs, just looking and saying, this is amazing. I love this environment. And that's what we want on every game.
Right.
But you can't do it if the fans aren't there. And we try to make it easy on everyone. We've got a shuttle service in the parking lot. And so if you don't walk very steadily or if it's painful to do that, catch a cart and they'll take you right to the front door. So we want it to be easy. We keep the buses out of the front of the school so that you've got a place to unload and load, and we try to monitor the parking very well. Our volunteers are amazing, unbelievable. We've got cart volunteers, we've got hospitality volunteers, we've got parking volunteers that they just do an amazing job, and team hosts too. You have team host volunteers. Well, we have team host volunteers that really take care of the teams and are there, that point of contact, making sure they get what they need, answering any questions, leading them to the locker room. It's something that goes a long way. The more we can make teams and coaches feel special, the more they're going to talk about it, and the more we've had, in the early days, we had coaches reach out and say, "Hey, how do I get in that Lighthouse?" But almost every one of those were not teams we needed in the Lighthouse. Yeah. Now we've had some coaches that have big time programs that just call me and say, "Hey, I was talking to so-and-so and he said it was a wonderful experience. He loved Corinth, Mississippi. How do we get in?" And I'm like, "Well, let me tell you." So it's the tide's starting to turn there a little bit as well. And it's an important 2 days for Corinth. I can tell Corinth Tourism, who also sponsors us, you never know. We've got people that come every year from Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, every single year to our event. And you can't ever tell. An experience in Corinth may get somebody thinking about, I do want to move. I want to go further south. Hey, why not Corinth?
Right. Yeah, you bring up a good point. And I'm one that moved here with my family in 1990 in January. And one of the first memories I have is the first day of school, we had a basketball game. You remember Kerry remembers 1990. Steve Davis, Carlos Toomer, that whole group. I thought I was in Hoosiers.
At the old gym.
At the old gym, which was still is a great atmosphere.
I loved it.
You can't beat the atmosphere. But I thought I was in Hoosiers, and that's what sold me on Corinth. I was like, I'm not leaving, and I didn't. It's that line. I mean, it's pretty impactful. When the gym's packed at Corinth, it doesn't. I mean, it's second to none.
It is.
It is.
That's right. Yeah.
And to tell them about the value of the tournament. I mean, you go any national tournament, and the prices that you pay, and we go because we want to see them. But tell them about, we've got to make a decision on what the admission price is going to be this year. But I can promise you, it'll be cheaper than most events that anyone would ever want to go to. If you go just a regular game around this area and you see a boys and girls game, you're paying $5 to get in, at least. Sometimes 7 or 8, sometimes more. I can tell you that students will pay $10 to get in. Adults will be either $10 or $15 to get in this year, and that's all day. So if you want to come and hang out for the day, man, we got Chick-fil-A regular and spicy sandwiches that we're going to be selling, and good food in the concession stands, and you can sit there and just watch eight amazing games per day if you want to, and you can do it for $20 or $30. In today's world, that's a bargain. Go to the movie theater and tell me how much money you're going to spend, and you're out of there in 2 hours. Right. So from a value standpoint, we believe that it's an incredible value. I've been to events in Memphis and paid $25. I was talking to a coach last year that they were charging him $40 to get in. And I said, "You pay it?" And he said, "I turned around and went, no." I wasn't going to pay $40.
Yeah.
And he was only there for one game. So, comparatively speaking, for the type of event, we believe that it's a great deal. And we want it to be for the community. We don't want it to be people go, "If I'm like I got robbed on that one, but I guess the Lighthouse benefited." No, we want them to say, "Hey, that was a great day. It was a great value, and at the same time, we supported the Lighthouse Foundation."
Yeah, absolutely. 2 key points you just made, and I'll just echo it again, is support the players, support the Classic, ultimately supporting the foundation. That's an important thing for everybody to remember at attending this game. You're going to see good basketball, but your daughter's going to go to ultimately an amazing cause too. So,
and this year we got 10 new teams that's never been in Corinth ever, and then we've got 16 teams that have been here at some point or another. Some we've got one that it's been 7 years since they've been here, so they're almost like a new team. But some of the matchups, I mean, we've got Pinson Valley in Birmingham that is playing Yazoo City. Pinson Valley last year lost one game. It was in the semifinals of the state tournament.
oh wow,
Pinson Valley also had tragedy strike this fall. They had their best player fall on the court and passed away. He had a heart condition didn't know about, and it's been devastating for that team. So they're dedicating this year for Caleb. And they're playing Yazoo City. Yazoo City, for the Corinthians, you know Yazoo City because they're the ones that ended our season last year in 4A. And they went on to win the state championship. They're extremely talented. That game's going to be amazing. We've got Raymond, who's going to be here. They're playing against St. Thomas More from Louisiana. Raymond will probably be they're the preseason #1 team in 4A, one of the best teams in the state.
right.
St. Thomas More, their coach is one of the top 15 all-time winningest coaches in high school basketball. And he's won like 6 state championships, and he's in the game every other year. We've got the Germantown Bartlett game. We've got Mountain Brook, who their point guard is a signee for Creighton, and he is
Good program.
he's an excellent. He's the #1 player in the state of Alabama. We've got them coming. It's going to some of the games court. 11:30 a.m. on Saturday. I say go anywhere in the country and find this game. Coleman, Alabama, probably one of the favorites to win 5A in the state of Alabama. They're really good. Playing Cordova, which is one of the favorites, Cordova, Tennessee, one of the favorites to win the state in Tennessee, playing each other at 11:30 a.m. And Cordova's got a kid that's already committed to Drake. Coleman's got 2 kids that are seniors that are being recruited by the Belmonts of the world. I'm just telling you, it's going to be a crazy game. In the preps, we've got the country covered. We've got Moravian Prep from outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. We mentioned PSAT out of Houston. We've got Albuquerque Prep from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and then we've got BFL Prep from Seattle, Washington. Tell me what event in this area has got teams coming from those 4 states, but they're all they all have great players. So we're just we feel like blessed. Feel like the Lord opens doors and enables things to happen. And the games. I'm excited about the games this year and the talent.
Yeah, no doubt that, like I said, it's an amazing experience. Good basketball, amazing people, amazing calls. Again, we talk about, and I know I won't speak for Sean, but I know that I'm glad to be a part of an ACE team now who sees that value and that continued partnership to be able to support you guys.
From a local standpoint, and I know ACE is centric to Alcorn County, and we've got Alcorn Central. They're going to be playing on Saturday this year to kick off Saturday. They're going to be playing against a very good Marshall Academy team from Holly Springs. They always have a good program. New coach at Alcorn Central, Clark Whitten, who was at Corinth last year. I'm excited for him and for that program. On Friday, we've got Kossuth. They're going to be playing Central from Florence, Alabama. Coach Burdett has got a very young team this year at Kossuth, but I think they're going to be a little more athletic than what he's had in the past. Pretty scrappy. That ought to be a good game. Biggersville's got a great football team. I don't know if y'all heard that or not. And they are, I feel pretty darn confident, going to be playing football at the same time we're playing the Classic. And for a single A school, that doesn't work very well. So we've got Saltillo coming to take their spot because there's just we don't see a way possible that Bearsville is going to not be playing football.
Yeah.
And then Corinth will end both Friday and Saturday night. On Friday night, we've got Corinth playing Bayou Academy from Cleveland, Mississippi. And Bayou, I'm hoping we get a little special halftime treat with Bayou because their head coach's brother's name is Peyton Ulrich. And if you are familiar with The Voice, he did really, really well on The Voice last year. And he's an opening act for a lot of big names. If he comes, he's going to sing at halftime. So I'm hoping he comes. It hadn't been confirmed, but they got a 6'7" guy that's very, very good named Thomas Kraft. Yeah. And then on Saturday night, we've got a team from just outside of Memphis, Rossville Christian, playing Corinth, and they'll be a really solid team. Corinth's also got a first-year coach, Marty Walker, and
Whose wife works at Ace.
there you go. And we've got we've got a pretty young team this year. One senior on the team, and I think maybe two seniors on the team. One that's had a lot of playing time, a lot of underclassmen, and I think they're going to be they'll play very aggressive and up tempo. Look forward to seeing the new addition and sort of feel for Marty because here we are, 1st of November. And he's likely still 2 weeks away from having the majority of his basketball team arrive from football, even if they do then. If they keep winning, they're not going to. So, he's got limited number of people in the gym right now, but I can't wait to see what that looks like. But I'm excited also about our local teams. We love the four schools and love having them in our event and watching them play. And they offer up some really great games last year. We had sent Kossuth one on a tip in at the buzzer. Doesn't get any better than that. And Alcorn Central had they got the W, but they were playing a team from Alabama who had a kid that scored 36 points.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's so there's usually something.
You can't write those storylines, right? You got to really, and like you said, we're blessed with, a basketball-rich county here, and with the city and the county schools, and I know we're all excited, and hopefully many of our viewers/listeners will take part and join us, and again, just Ace is just extremely thankful to be a part of that. And
We're thankful. Did it. I want to stop and say thank you to you guys because it just doesn't get done. We couldn't start off the way we started off with this classic if we didn't have the sponsors there, and you guys make it happen, and we say thank you.
So we're happy to do it. It's our pleasure. It is.
Yeah, like I said, I know a shout from the rooftops, enormous thank you to both of you guys, not for what you do in the community every single day, not just for that, but taking the time of day to join us and sharing with our listeners and viewers about the foundation and the tournament. And we can't wait. Me and Sean will put our hands together for this classic and continue to see the great work the foundation does as well. So.
It's our pleasure, man. This is my very first podcast. I woke up at 5 a.m. I did. I really worry about Vince. He's
lacking passion. I just feel we'll end up with two questions: is at what halftime or what game is Vince going to do the dunk contest, and then why was Sean not asked to sing the halftime performance as well?
Well, we can address that.
the halftime performances have not yet been finalized. Good.
We'll have a vote by our listeners and viewers to see about that. So.
But we have secured a mini trampoline for the dunk. So you're committing. The mini tramp, baby.
But again, thank you both for your time and just talking with us about the foundation and the classic. And I know we're all excited about what's to come in the days ahead. So November 24th, 25th, right?
Corinth High School, we're grateful for the Corinth School District. They work with us like nobody's business, and it's just a great place to have this. It's central. It's easy to get to. It's large enough. And, they've partnered with us, for the classic since the inception. They've partnered with the Lighthouse Foundation for several years prior. But we're grateful. I mean, this is a wonderful community. I'm an East Tennessee guy. I feel like this is my home because I've lived here more than I've lived anywhere in my life. But this community is special. It truly is. It's not about basketball. It's not about the Lighthouse. It's not about ACE. It's a special community. People rally together. They support each other. They want, I think, each other to be successful and succeed. They work with each other, and we're just blessed. And, you know, we started off with the sponsors, but the Corinth School District, they're phenomenal, and we're very blessed to have them in this community. And I think they're very innovative, and our county schools are as well. They just happen to be in Corinth's gym, but Brandon Quinn's doing a great job there as well, and he's a big part of our Lighthouse Classic. So, you know, it's we're blessed. This region's blessed. Great schools, great community. Man, life is good.
It truly takes a village, and we have a great one, you know. And so just to close, November 24th, 25th, correct, for the date. So they call it High School Gymnasium near. So
that is, if you're a shopper, it's Black Friday. If you are a basketball fan, it is Sunshine Friday in the Champ.
Give us a little bit of update as far as the ACE for an Albany County's standpoint goes, but also the New Albany project.
Yeah, a lot of things going on. In Alcorn County, we're past 8,200 subscribers now, which is just a huge milestone for us. You know, we launched a little bit over 3 years ago, and have significantly ramped up our efforts and continue to improve our products and services on a daily basis. Obviously, you know, the big thing right now for us is the New Albany expansion, and in fact, today we're dropping our first telecommunications shelter, and that's kind of the central office where we get access to the internet and connect to NFL cities. This one will be probably connected to Atlanta through Jackson, using some larger carriers, some tier 1 carriers. But that thing lands today, and so we're excited about that because that kind of signals the start of construction. And once we get that thing installed on the foundation that we've got ready for it, we can go in and start hooking up all of our fiber optic cabling and electronic components that'll light up the New Albany network. So we're excited about that, and things to come there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know there's a lot of positive buzz from the New Albany and Union County residents there so far. And just for my knowledge and for the viewers' knowledge as well, so you say the center or the hub there. So what is that going to serve as, like, as we go through the project there?
Yeah, so you know, basically we have to have a connection to the internet, and the internet is, you know, it's all over, right? So we have to connect to those transit carriers that'll carry that signal from New Albany to, let's say, Atlanta, and where it connects to other networks and all around the world. And that central office location, or telecommunications hub as we like to call it, there will be 4 of them in New Albany when we're complete. This is the first of 4. And so once we get that installed, we're going to light up the network and start building out. You know, New Albany Light, Gas, and Water is going to own the mainline infrastructure, and then we're leasing that infrastructure for 20 years. And so it's a long-term partnership. We hope it goes past 20 years and is very successful for both utilities. We think it will be, but that's the start of things right there, is getting that HUD installed, and we hope to start mainline construction by January, which means that we can start lighting up the first houses in New Albany by April, around the April time frame. So a lot of things have got to go right for us to be able to do that. Of course, weather plays an important factor in that. But if weather's on our side, then we feel confident we can make those deadlines.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I said, I know it's extremely exciting news. A lot of members involved, team members here at ACE involved in that process. So I know several are in New Albany as we speak, take on that project. So.
Yeah, we actually hired our first New Albany employee, Tony Churchill, who's a long-term telecommunications guy in the New Albany area, very familiar with it. A lot of our New Albany subscribers will know Tony, so he'll be a very recognizable face there. Got a lot of experience, and he's kind of learning how we do things in Corinth right now, so that we can take what we've done here, what we've done well, and replicate it down in New Albany, and learn from the lessons that we've on things that we've not done so well, and build a better network.
Yeah. Well, I think it's something you just said too about Tony, you know, bringing that expertise and that knowledge, and somebody that's familiar with Union County. I think that just speaks to the ACE way, really, you know, because as a longtime user of you know, both electric and fiber services, I know that that's going to be a key piece in that, and just seeing that transpire the next few months is extremely exciting. So I know the residents are.
Yeah, one of the things Tony told me is one of the ways we can be successful in New Albany is being plugged into the community, and I think that's what we've tried to do here, and we've tried to get as involved as we can, and so we're looking forward to doing that there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, appreciate the ACE update, and unless there's anything else you want to add as far as that important for the also we'll have continuous communications go into all of our listeners and viewers here, so. We'll have more episodes to come on specifics of that project.
And the best way to stay up to date is follow us on Facebook and social media, and we'll have updates forthcoming on how to pre-register for services. So we're almost there. It's getting exciting.